Thank you so much for coming on. I'm excited. I'm excited to learn from you.
Thank you.
I really am. I've seen a lot of your content. I've seen your breath works. I've walked past them in the mornings. I've probably
Yeah.
been to one a few years ago. So it's really, really cool.
Cool. That's epic.
I want to start by asking if the listener took away everything that we spoke about today and applied it, how would their life change?
I believe two things. If you can master your breath, you can master your life, and the power of your life comes down to the power of your questions. So, our breath is at the center of every cellular function. So the way we breathe influences the way that we think, the way that we move, the way that we feel. So it's so crazy that this really simple thing can impact our lives. And look, we do it every single day, of our lives. But it wasn't until I really experienced it in a deep, deep way that it opened my mind, and over time being able to refine my skills around it and just realizing how much of a role it plays and how it's so simple. It's so simple.
It's one of
So,
those things that just go on in the background that
yeah.
we don't even really realize we're doing half the time.
Uh-huh.
And then when you do focus on it, yeah, you do kind of start to become aware. I like that.
Yes.
So you're a big advocate for breath work, for mental health, but it seems like it's come from a really personal place. Was there a big turning point in your life or a rock bottom that led you down the breath work path?
There was a workshop that I attended. There were two times that really stood out to me. One was it might have been Christmas of 2017. And I was just doing a priming sequence, Tony Robbins priming sequence on the beach. And I'd been doing it for years where I would go down, I would stretch on the beach, and then I would jump into the ocean. And, you're benefiting from grounding. I'm also going through my morning flow and then jumping in the beach and getting that negative ion exchange with the cold exposure as well. So you're being able to get this multi-layered benefit just by stretching on the beach, being there at sunrise, and then jumping into the ocean. Then I implemented one day, I knew Tony Robbins had this sequence. So I just typed in priming, followed the process, and at the end of it, he spoke about giving gratitude, things that add value to your life, things that serve you, and also letting go of things that don't serve you. And at that time in my life, I was just past my 20s, and the only thing that was a problem in my life was partying. So it became as clear as day that that was the one thing that I need to let go of. And I thought about how the role that it played in my life was I'd never sat at home and partied by myself. It was only in social settings. So I thought, I obviously don't really need it in my life. And I thought about how the amount of people that I know that are part of that world is pretty much all of my circles. So I don't really actually know anybody that lives their life like that. I'm like, okay. So I'm asking about a life that I don't know anyone around me lives, that I hang out with, or that I connect with. And I'm going to go and do this thing. But what I believe is that there are people out in this world that live happy, healthy, successful lives, right? Drug and alcohol free. I'm like, I don't know them, but I believe it exists, and I'm going to be one of those people. So I just pursued this, and this is actually the second time I've had this conversation today. I remember having that conversation with my friends, and I said, "Hey boys, I think I need to have a chat with you." And they said, "Have you found Jesus?" And I'm like, "Bro, I've been going to church since I was a kid." I said, "But I got some other things that I want to do with my life. So I think this is our last hurrah, huh?" And they just never called. After that, they just stopped calling me. Not because we're not friends. I'm just not the guy to call anymore, to hang out for those social settings anymore. That was the first time it really stood out to me. The second time was at a workshop, and it was the level 2 workshop to a 2-part workshop. The first workshop, they gave me the leadership award, and I was just like, wow, I think I should really take advantage of this. Go to the next one. Go to the next one. What I felt was people were waiting for me to say something, do things, be the leader. But what I found was when I speak, everyone shuts up. I guess my voice is a little bit deeper than others, but I wanted to be there for myself. So eventually we go through like this step process, and breath was one of them. And I had this profound experience. And ever since that experience, I basically stood up at the end of it and I said, this is what I came for. I came here for this. I don't know what that was, but that's exactly what I came for. And I've been obsessed with the breath ever since.
I love
So
that.
they're my two like standout points with breathwork, experiences with breathwork that have changed my life.
So I want to go back to what you said about the partying phase and kind of pivoting away from that. I think a lot of people, they let their backgrounds define them, and they
Yeah.
get stuck in this cycle of not knowing how to kind of break free. What would you tell somebody who is in that sort of phase? How can somebody break free from that old story or their old self?
I think a lot of people believe they have more time than what they really actually have. There was an exercise that I ran through actually when I proposed to my wife, right? And at the beginning of every year, and my background started off in personal training, right? For 20 years. I'd been personal training since the beginning of 2003. And it was January 2016, and I was sitting there preparing for my year. And I'm like, okay, cool. This is what I want to do up until Easter. And I'm like, what am I going to do for the rest of the year? And what I ended up mapping out was I ended up doing 12 months, 2 years, all the way up to like 5 years. And I stretched it and I did a projection up for like 20 years. And I was just trying to work out what I was doing with my time, how old I am, what's the future look like. And what I realized was in 20 years' time, like my daughter will finish like high school, but I would be of a certain age. But what I realized was if my partner at the time, who's now my wife, if we didn't start having children soon, I would still be doing a high school pickup into my 60s. I was like, shit, I have less time than I thought, right? And I think this is the thing that a lot of people have. I'll do it someday. I will do it one day. Well, when is that one day? And I think if you really take stock of your life and you audit your life and what you want to do with yourself, simply what I did was a really simple table. This is the months of the year. Like, what do we know? We know the months of the year. We know how old you are. You know the years that are ahead. Take a list of the things you want to do, take them and put them at the time that you actually want to do them. Look at that and ask yourself, do I like what I'm looking at? And if it flows, then it works. If it doesn't flow, chances are it probably isn't going to work, right? So if you're wanting to make a change in your life, I think a lot of people are underestimating how much time that they have, overestimating how much time they don't have, right? And so much time is getting wasted and lost. So I think when you're actually really able to look at it specifically and realize like now time is of the essence, it'll put a fire under your butt.
It's funny, like I think when we're young, we're in a rush to do things, achieve things, and then all of a sudden we get to a point where we're like, oh, no, we've got plenty of time. And there's always this breaking point where we sort of have to realize, okay, we don't have to be in a rush and, we don't have to compare, but we still need to do the things we say we're going to do. Otherwise, we're going to end up 60 and still not achieved the things that we've always dreamed of. Why do you think people resist change, and why is it so hard to make that first step sometimes?
I've been talking about this lately. I feel there are some really big foundational things that influence human behavior, and our values and beliefs for me are at the top, along with our emotions. The way that we feel about things influences how we respond and we take action on things. And our values and beliefs are the things that matter the most to us, and the things that we believe in, and that we're willing to be a stand for and a fight for. Then comes like real life, and we find ourselves triggered, right? So you're living your life, you're doing your thing, you get triggered, all of a sudden you get smacked in the mouth, right? And now you are starting to compromise these things, yeah? And then after a while, that adds more time to the things that you actually want to do. So being able to look at these things, our triggers, our shadows, our inner work, these are the things that become the roadblocks and the speed humps along our way. And something that might have, like on paper, like theoretically, might have taken you, say, 3 months, 6 months, you could find yourself still trying to achieve in 2 years' time.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this a lot. I listened to a YouTube video and they were talking about your wealth and your nervous system, and if you don't have a correlated, like if your nervous system isn't regulated to this amount of wealth, every time you get close to it, you're going to sort of like self-sabotage. I think about this all the time about the fact that we have our values, but then when something triggers us, we kind of resort back to that internal sense of self. What does it look like then when someone has like a deep rooted kind of self belief that is holding them back? What does that look like day to day?
Well, I guess when we think about belief systems, there are things that empower us and then things that disempower us, things that take away from us. A really simple way to be able to gauge what's going on is our physiology, because the body never lies. So a contraction of the body is your body feeling possibly unsafe or something doesn't feel right. But when we feel relaxed and when we feel free and when we feel safe, the body is open. The body doesn't really know the difference whether it is a real threat or a perceived threat, which is why nervous system regulation tools are really, really important. Our ability to sit with things, and time can be a really great healer. So a real threat will show itself. A perceived threat will pass. So our ability to regulate ourselves in those experiences will let us know whether something's real or not. Does that answer your question?
That makes a lot of sense. I'm thinking about times where you cause yourself to be so anxious because of a thought that you've started thinking about. And I guess what you're saying is you have the ability to flip that back. Whereas if it's obviously a real threat, there is a lion, of course it's going to be completely different.
Yes, 100%.
So how does somebody start to become aware of that if they've never thought about that before?
Some self-inquiry is really, really important to allow ourselves to be able to feel what's going on inside. A little interoception, right? Being able to feel what's going on inside in our inner world. And a really simple way to do that is just closing your eyes down and then just becoming aware of our own internal inner landscape. Yeah. And sometimes, I guess, our inability to do that is what prevents us being able to tap into what's actually going on. Most people don't even close their eyes unless it's time to go to sleep.
So would that be step one? Someone's feeling anxious, they're starting to feel tense. That would be number one, close your eyes, take a breath.
I would just breathe first. Breathe first. Like if you're wanting to actually connect with it, I would close my eyes and allow myself to connect with myself, because when our eyes are open, we're open to more stimulation. So when we close our eyes, we can see what's going on internally. But the first step would be just connect with your breath, right? Your breath can regulate your nervous system and change your state like literally in 3 breaths. Literally in 3 breaths. So like if you took a breath into your nose, then you exhale out through your mouth, 3 sighs can flip you straight back into your parasympathetic nervous system.
Can
Just
you
like
touch
that.
on that parasympathetic nervous system? If someone listening hasn't heard that phrase before, what does that mean? And there's another system, right?
Yeah, so if we think about our nervous system, we've got a central nervous system, we've got an autonomic nervous system. Within our autonomic nervous system, and the name, suggests itself, it takes care of itself. We have a sympathetic and a parasympathetic. Sympathetic being, commonly termed fight or flight, and parasympathetic being rest and digest. That our parasympathetic nervous system, it connects to all our main vital organs, right? And that will put you into a calmer, more safer state. So something as simple as exhaling with a sigh, the science behind that is it really does give you a sigh of relief. With the term sigh of relief, I've got a sigh of relief, right? And we sigh multiple times a day, all throughout the day. So if you're wanting to quickly tap into it, I would exhale with a sigh. I would breathe in through your nose because that's only going to allow you to tap into all the benefits we gain from breathing in through your nose. Our nasal passage, well, our face, this is called our oral facial complex. So our nose and our mouth, behind our nose, there's these three things called the concha that is behind there. So the reason why we have nose hairs because it filters the air. As we breathe that in, it cleans the air. As the air goes past the concha, it spins the air, which means it generates a bit of heat. It humidifies it. So now you're breathing in warm air. You can absorb it a lot more clearly. When the breath brushes down by the back of your nasal passage, it passes and brushes past a part called the paranasal, which helps stimulate the release of nitric oxide. For all the fitness people out there, you understand what that is. It's a natural vasodilator. The human body also produces it, which will open up your arteries and capillaries, allow you to move more breath, also helps with the release of an increased level of red blood cells, means you can move more oxygen as well. At the bottom, underneath that, at the bottom of your brainstem is your respiratory system. Around that same place, beneath that is your vagus nerve, where it attaches at to the cranial nerve, and that connects to all your main organs. So when we breathe in through the nose, it directly connects straight to your heart. So there becomes this trickle-down effect simply by breathing in through your nose and exhaling out through your mouth with this sigh, right? And it's kind of like, how can this thing have so many positive effects? I guess we're just never really taught this stuff.
Absolutely not. And I think when we think about like rest and digest and fight or flight, when we think about like a bodybuilding prep, someone's in fight or flight all the time. They're not losing body fat. Their digestion's off. They're not recovering. And then I guess being able to shift into that rest and digest is only going to aid them in so many ways.
Yeah.
And so tool number one would be that focusing on that breath and learning a little bit more about that.
Yeah. I think I was watching a story with Matt O'Reilly while they were in the States. Mm-hmm. And he talked about how exhausted they were from just traveling. And I just sent him a message and I said, hey, bro, if you want, man, I'll send you some breath tracks. I've got a track called NSDR. For those that follow Huberman, right, non-sleep deep rest. And me and my boy, Alex Butchis, he's an exercise fizz. And a couple of years ago, we put this NSDR track together and I literally listen to it maybe 3 or 4 times a week, about 3 o'clock, mid-afternoon when I know I've had too many coffees or I want to actually avoid coffee, but I know I've got plenty of work and I need to get a bit of a recharge. I'll listen to that track and I sent it to him, and then I think maybe 2 days later, he sent me a message back and he just said, thanks heaps, bro. Right? Just a way to be able to regulate the nervous system without, because we live quite busy lives, without having to have a deep sleep. Most people can't, they don't have the time. I don't have time to get more sleep in. Cool. Here's a tool that you can use to help reset your nervous system.
I love that. It's so powerful, and especially if you can just start to implement it a couple times a week, and then you'll see the progress and you'll see how good it feels, and you'll probably then start to want to do it more often. I've always found when I did breath work, I was quite resistant to it because I found it quite hard. And I guess, would it be like a practice you get a little bit better at it?
This is what I think. So me and my business partner, who's also, one of my best mates, Alex, right? We built a course a breathwork course for the fitness industry. And me coming from the fitness industry for the last 20 years, the fitness industry is a different kind of place, right? And what I mean by that is, as we've gone to tour over the last 12 months, what I've noticed was majority of the people attending our events had never even experienced or even knew what breathwork was. And I was just like, wow, this is crazy. Such a high percentage of people have never experienced it or even know what it is. So how did they even end up in our room? There's something about that that's got them into the room, right? And the more I sort of observed and I thought about it, health and fitness is very 3D. Do you know what I mean by that? So it's like we focus on really tangible things that are in the physical realm, right? Exercise, nutrition. This is what it's all about, right?
Lose weight.
Yes, exactly, right? or mindset, anything that expands further outside of those realms, now you're talking about things that I can't really touch, grab, understand. I can't even really measure it, right? So I don't even know if it's true. I remember my very first time learning to meditate like a decade ago, probably even longer. I had to force myself to sit in front of the wall, and I just couldn't do it. I'm like, man, I can't do this, right? Now this has become a big part of my life, and I just think because the fitness industry, the things that are focused on are all very tangible things that you can see, that you can touch, right? Especially if we think about comp, right? It's subjective. It's a beauty pageant, right? Because it's not like a powerlifting comp where they assess you and they measure you on how much you lifted or how fast you ran. It's like, okay, cool. Everyone who's in condition, you come to the front. Everyone whose aesthetics, right, are balanced, you guys come the next step back. Now we have to decide, who do we like? You could be phenomenal, right? But that doesn't matter. The judges have to decide whether they like you on the day, right? Now we expand that out further beyond exercise, beyond nutrition, beyond mindset, right? Now we're looking to go a little bit deeper. It's like, oh, we're getting a bit woo now, right? But the truth is, like, we all feel this way. I just did a health and fitness retreat over the weekend, and these guys were phenomenal. They're all part of a program. Shout out to Jarrell Martin. It was his retreat, and they're all part of his program as health and fitness. But they all dived into the breath. None of them have ever done this before, right? But what I take from that is, I believe the health and fitness industry aren't against it.
Yeah.
I don't believe that general public are against it. I feel what the wider community are against is all the extra stuff that feels really, really extra that they don't want to be associated with. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting with like bodybuilding and the fitness industry. Like, it's like if you eat this, you will lose weight. If you do this and you recover, you will grow muscle. But it's very hard to say, okay, if you do this, then your mindset will change, because they're not going to have, there's no specific change. And it's really tricky. But I do think that as soon as you feel that change with the breath work, it's quite tangible. Like, I think you feel the changes very, very quickly while you're in it, right? Like, you get the tingly and you can feel tangible results.
I guess it's more about a relationship. And I guess just the same thing as you were talking before about our relationship with food and how it can impact you based on stress. Our relationship with the work that we do with ourselves, because we're talking about things that we can't see. We're talking about things that are inside of our body, right? It's not a muscle. It's not a bone, it's not a ligament, it's not a joint, it's not one of those things. So it's sort of like, where are these emotions? Where are these thoughts? Where are these feelings that are causing me so much chaos? Like, can I cut it out, right? Can I touch it? Can I go to the physio for it? It's like, well, no. But if we can build a relationship with ourselves, we can draw enough data for us to be able to get a bit of a feel of what works for us, what doesn't work for us, what's being mirrored back to us. It's like, okay, I see a pattern now. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's like a main cause for people to have such dysregulated nervous systems that are so tense or in fight or flight all the time? I'm thinking about like athletes who are just constantly just running on adrenaline. Why we like this?
I think the place where things come from is super important. Yeah. So like, we're either motivated from fear or we're motivated by love. Where is the place that competing is coming from for you? I guess traditionally a lot of people in the health and fitness industry are there to get in shape, whether let's say you're a smaller guy and you want to put on muscle. Let's say you're an overweight girl and you want to lose weight as well. Maybe you're lacking confidence and the gym has been a place where you've been able to find confidence. And the world is a very visual place. So, when you look good, you feel good, and it can inspire you to possibly take the stage, right? So the motivating factor for you participating in comp came from one of these places. It generally didn't come from, oh, you know what, I think I've got the potential to do what it takes to be able to win this comp or that comp or to be a pro athlete. There was usually something that got you into the gym to start off with. Like, what got you into gym to start off with?
I guess I was struggling with what I look like. I struggled with my food. I did enjoy just training, but
Yep.
I just fell into it. I got into bodybuilding because I probably wanted to look the way the bodybuilders looked.
And how long have you been training for?
6 years.
Okay. And so that's what got you into the gym to start off with. How old were you when you walked in?
21.
Okay. And at which point did you realize you wanted to compete?
So I feel like I had an interesting thing because I feel like people told me I could be good, and I saw people and I thought I could be good. And so I did that. And that was like 22. So
Okay.
it was young, and I went pretty much just did it because people thought I would be good at it.
What is it that you saw? There's the moment before we've had the thought, and then there's the moment after, right? So we see something, we feel something, we hear something that makes us do something. Does that make sense? What is it you saw, heard, or felt that gave you this inkling, this feeling that you wanted to
Validation.
explore this?
Probably like seeing other people get validation, and I wanted that validation. Probably.
What was it about the validation that you saw that stood out to you?
That it maybe looked like they were more confident than I was.
So it was not really about the validation, it was about the confidence. Right? And the validation was the gateway to confidence for you. You were just doing basic math.
Yeah.
As children,
Yeah.
like we grow up, we do things, we're playing with science. It's like, okay, cool, I saw something. If I do the same thing, that's what'll happen. Right? Okay, cool. They look really confident. They're competing. So competing clearly gives you,
Yeah.
it must give you confidence.
Yeah.
I would like some of that. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense.
So
Yeah.
it's sort of like everything starts, it comes from somewhere. Yeah. And I think when we think about bodybuilding, when we think about competing, it's an image-based sport, right? So when we think about image, where does the desire to look a certain way come from? And we think about bodybuilding, there's nothing healthy about it whatsoever, right? It's an extreme sport. And I said yesterday to one of my clients, people don't step out to look like the people on the magazine covers. What they do is it provides inspiration, right, of what's possible.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And the percentage of the community that will ever put themselves in a position to become that person, right? Like you think about your partner, right? Like he's like one of the small percentage. Most people don't ever, and most people won't be like that. A lot of people go to the gym thinking they will become that. It's like, no,
Yeah.
it ain't going to happen. But you can get the similar feelings by being somewhere along that journey.
Yeah.
And I think the key that's supposed to happen is evolution. That at some point in time, through your journey, just the same way as you progress in strength, right? You improve in your posing, right? In your physique, right? There is more other areas inside of your life that you can experience growth from. And all I'm saying is allow yourself to explore.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I think I've had a really pivotal year where it's probably started to shift for me, getting out of that, competing for like the external validation, having my whole identity revolved around being a bodybuilder, and now shifting into just doing it because I love it and doing it because it's actually what brings me joy, but having other things that bring me confidence. And that's been I think it was the hardest shift for me, was getting out of this like identity of being a bodybuilder. And I thought, nobody's going to like me or or follow me or like want to have anything to do with me if I'm not a bodybuilder, because that was my whole identity. And I think I was clinging so hard, and I was in fight or flight for the whole time because I was clinging onto this. And as soon as I did explore, just like you said, found other things that brought me confidence, it was eye-opening for me.
Let me ask you this. What kind of music do you listen to?
Like Australian indie kind of music.
And is that the only music you listen to?
No, definitely not.
Right? So the only part that you've really allowed the world to see is that part. Is that the only side of you?
No, definitely not.
And I think the hard part about being a competitor is that's the main part that you share. And I guess it's almost like about keeping up appearances.
100%.
Right? Like
100%.
we teach people how to treat us. So this is how people know me. So this is what I have to keep on showing them. And we can end up building ourselves a cage, right? And look, when I stepped out of the fitness industry to move into the work that I do now, I literally divorced my look, right? I stopped meal prepping. I stopped taking my training. I changed the clothes that I wore because I wanted to divorce myself from that identity. Otherwise, that's the only way people would have known me.
Yeah.
Like, I let my hair grow, right? A whole bunch of things.
Yeah.
Then further down the track, I'm like, okay, look, enough of this. Meal prepping has a lot of value.
Yeah.
Tracking your training has a lot of value. And I think that we can make the mistake of allowing the pendulum to swing too far the other way. Some people, when it's been, like health and fitness can be like a gateway to personal development because it's the easiest access point. Go for a run, join a gym. Deeper inner work and personal development, right? Like it's not as easy to get into. What can happen is you start to discover yourself, the pendulum swings the other way, and a lot of people can start to demonize the health and fitness industry. It's so much about image, right? And all the rest of that. So they let go of all of those behaviors and everything that came with it and the value that came with it. Now it's like, I've awakened, I'm enlightened, I've grown, right? And it's like, yeah, but this physical body you have is the one that carries you. This is the vessel that carries you through life. Yes. It doesn't matter how spiritual, how enlightened you are, this human body of yours is your one car for life. If you don't take care of that, no one gets to experience all of your gifts, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So back to the gym you go.
It's finding that balance. I see it so often, and myself and Callum both experienced that this year as well, where we were so in bodybuilding, and then I despised it, and I still did everything just because I did, but I was like, nah, bodybuilding is ruined, like it's ruined me, and I now have found a really perfect balance, but people so often do, and I think I guess they just cling to one identity rather than letting themselves open up to have more than one identity.
And well, I think the thing is we all have multiple identities. We all listen to different music. We don't eat one type of food. Imagine how boring life would be if all you ate was steak and veg, chicken and broccoli, right? Geez, wouldn't you be fun at a party? Right? Like, this is why they say, spice is the variety of life and why traveling makes you richer.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like getting outside of those four walls that you put yourself in. Also, it allows you to allow other people to experience all the parts of you. And when we don't allow ourselves to fully express ourselves in all the ways that we are, I feel we also put a barrier up between us and how close we allow people to get to us. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you have those walls up. I think I heard it on Chris Williamson. They were talking about, if you have a mask on and you've got this front and you show everybody this mask of yourself, when you get praise, it doesn't really feel like, or love, it doesn't really feel like real love because people are loving this fake version of you. And then I guess when you don't have that mask on and you show your true self, then when people love you, they're loving you.
So what I think he's trying to say there is a part of us that we share to the world. So you love competing. It's when competition becomes the only part of you that you show to the world, right? And you have other parts of yourself, but you've got to keep up appearances. So this thing that you loved has become the only way that people know you, but you know there are other parts of you. So now this becomes a mask that you wear, right? Because that's the part you don't want to upset people. You want people to love you, right? So that's the only part of you that you show. The part that he's talking about where it inhibits the ability for you to feel and to receive the love that is being given to you is because deep down inside, you know there are more parts of you, and you know that you've not shown it to them. You also know that they don't know. So you're on the other side of the mask thinking to yourself, I wish I could share more, but will they even care? Will they still love me? What would they think if they realize I like gherkins? Right? I'm a Democrat, right? I voted First Nation, right? One Nation or whatever it was, you know, and you know, like, so you keep that mask up just to stop people from disapproving you. What you won't, you know, experience if you keep that up is that the amount of people that will love you for all the parts of you. And the thing is that the truth is nobody cares, right? Nobody cares about all the stories that we tell ourselves, right? People love realness. And whilst they might be frustrated at the beginning by what they're experiencing and might not agree, they'll actually love you for your honesty.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Nobody, you know, our world is we are the most important person in our entire world, and we think that everybody else thinks we are as well, but everybody else thinks that they're the most important person in their world.
Right. Which is what it should be, right? And I think the weight that we give to what other people believe and what other people think is way more than what it should be or what they deserve or what it deserves. They might not even be thinking it, right? I find what I say quite often is people put their 2 cents in and then they go home. Everyone's got their input in, right? But the moment they leave your presence, it isn't long before it's even left their mind. Why? Because everyone's concerned about their own lives.
Yeah. The drama, the people get so, you know, worried about, this person, what are this person going to think? So many of my young clients, the ones I see that come through, they are so obsessed about what if something disastrous happens on stage? And I try and remind them, the worst of the worst thing could happen to you on stage. People will go, oh, wow, that was bad. Never think about it ever again.
Never.
I can't remember any time anyone has ever done anything embarrassing.
A friend of mine, he was competing at nationals, and I think he might have even got second. And this was when he was going through some really, you know, deep addiction at the time. And we watched it back, and he tripped over his posing, and we're like, bro, even at your worst, you still placed, right? You were still one of the country's best. And we're just like, this is crazy. Imagine what you would have been without that. I'm like, but what's done is done, you know? And he's gone on to live a great life, you know, since. He eventually got married, he's got children now, you know, and it's just, life moves on. People don't hold on to things as much as you think. And even still, the value and the learnings that get to come out from those moments. And I've been talking to my business partner about being able to perform under pressure. And what I'm really talking about there is people to be able to find character in the hurt locker. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Think about when you're when the workout is painful, you've got a few more reps and you've got, you have to put more weight on. You're like, man, I'm hurting. Hey, in those moments, be able to regulate your nervous system, but not to the point where you are trying to be cool and calm, but to the point where you're able to find that grit, right? That alter ego, that part of you that's able to actually lap it up in those moments. I think that gets to bring out really colorful parts of people. And I think that we're we're not even allowing ourselves to even experience that.
Yeah. That's such a big part of being a good athlete, is being able to be cool and calm under pressure, but also being present under pressure. That's something that I've been working on a lot, is just being intentional and present. And when things do get hard, rather than trying to zone out, zone in.
Think about competition, right? Now, everyone has worked hard, phenomenal bodies all on the stage. But what stands out to us? Presence, right? The person that's able to really show up and showcase and present, you know, what they've got, captures and captivates the audience, right? Not only that, they're really able to showcase what they've got, their hard work. You know, one of my most favorite athletes is Hattie Boydell. What most people don't realize is she's a pocket rocket. She's tiny. Right. But the way that she's able to present herself, right, and pose and the rest of it and really be in it, right, like that level of aura is magnetic. And I think people don't realize that, making the most of what you've got and allowing people to see that and experience you.
So how does like regulating your nervous system, doing the breath work, how is that going to impact somebody who wants to be in control and wants to have that presence and that aura?
That's how it does. The way that regulating your nervous system works, it allows you to be present because you're not in the past and you're not, you know, into the future. You're just here. And how often are we talking to people and they're not here? You might be, let's say, at the supermarket getting your groceries, the cash register person, the checkout person is processing, and you're on your phone talking to someone. You haven't even bothered to say hello. This is the person like organizing your food. It might even be the same aisle, the same person every single week. You might have been going there for a year or two. You haven't even asked their name.
Yeah.
Right. The person at the barista. Our ability to be present in every single moment of our life allows us to get more juice for the squeeze. This is how you know you're living.
And as you said, life, you know, we don't have as long as we think we do. And if we've spent half of our life being not present, worried about the future, stressing about the past, we've missed it. We've let it go by.
If you can really enjoy getting your coffee from your local barista, imagine how you're going to feel when you're over in Italy, ordering one over there. You're probably going to absolutely love it. So if we can't appreciate the small things, the big things generally most of the time won't even matter.
Absolutely. I'm a very, very big advocate in making the little things the big things. It's one of mine and Callum's most important kind of practices, is making sure that our, you know, in between moments and our small moments are the big moments, because at the end of the day, just as you said, if you can't enjoy sitting down and having a coffee with your partner on your own balcony, what difference is it going to make when you are on your holiday?
Yeah, you'll completely miss it. I said to my wife one day, I was just sitting on the couch and there wasn't much going on. We weren't really saying anything. And I just said to her, you know what, babe? If you aren't cool with the mundane, boring shit inside of your relationship and marriage ain't for you, because marriage is full of it. Marriage and sharing a long life, like long-term relationship with one person, is full of really boring, really average, like parts of your life that you share together. If you can't enjoy those moments, well, the big moments will never matter, right? Because you'll always be looking for another moment to fill it.
Yeah.
Right?
Next big thing. Big thing.
When are we going to go on a holiday? You know, geez, when are we going to go shopping? And you just become a consumer.
So the regulation of the nervous system then, are we daily practicing? What are we doing to, well, I guess the first thing is, do you shift into the different nervous system and then you shift back regularly? How are we kind of getting you into a regulated nervous system on a regular basis?
I think we get more bang for our buck by daily practice throughout the day. That's where I think we're going to get more bang for our buck. Right. So there's so many different times that we can regulate our nervous system and practice, effective and efficient breathing. Anytime you're not talking to anybody, a perfect time. When you're driving, when you're on your laptop, when you're training, is a great time to practice. And it's so the breath, the facial posture, so we'd call it OFP, oral facial posture. So your teeth touching, tongue set to the roof of your mouth, lips sealed. What that does is it forces you to breathe into your nose. So as you breathe into your nose, we went through before, you gain all the benefits of that. Doing that, you spend so much through the day where you're talking to nobody, right? That creates a beautiful baseline. So that when it comes time to actually implement it, when you really, really need it, right, you're a lot more open and primed and ready for that. So that when it comes to throughout the day, whether you're in traffic, right, you can regulate it, right, because you've got a good baseline.
Yeah.
Whether you're at the gym and let's say, geez, I think the other day I was at the gym and I was just sort of standing, I'm like, there's a water bottle. Where are the people? And you're sort of waiting for somebody to come down, and I'm like, and I realized I was quite frustrated, and I'm like, okay, so now's not a time to lose your cool. It's a gym, Lino. Go find somewhere else. You can find a solution.
Yeah.
Right. But if you don't practice it throughout the day, through all the other times, it actually makes it really hard to implement it when you really, really need it.
Yeah. So being conscious so that I guess the more you become conscious, then it will happen subconsciously.
Yeah.
I think about like it's a choice, you get to choose whether or not you react in certain moments like traffic.
Yes.
Like that's not a huge trigger. If we can practice being cool and calm in traffic, then when something really hectic does happen, you might be a little bit more chill. I've got a randomly good example. I feel like I used to be a very anxiously like fight or flight person, and traffic would kill me, and I was always like, oh, I'm in a rush, and then little things would always really I would make them into really big things. Like I would smash something and it would be a disaster, it'd ruin my mood. In the last year, I've been focusing on trying to be cool in traffic. And the other day I dropped my food scales and they was outside and they smashed and shattered everywhere. And I just went, oops. I was like, wow, I'm like,
it's a change.
Yeah, that's a real tangible. I could see that the little things that I'd been doing with the traffic and just consciously trying to be a bit more like chill had actually come out in a more triggering time. I think like people listening to this, if they're in that phase where the traffic is triggering them, all the little things, someone at the gym is taking too long on a machine, they're perfect times for you to actually like practice.
Because there's multiple times through the day, throughout life, where you can be triggered. Right? If you've got kids, if you're in a relationship, if you're out in public, right? Just if you're trying to do something, if you're trying to build something, if you're trying to finish a job, there's so many different, ways that you can be triggered. And I guess the question can be, what are you going to choose? Like, are we going to be angry at absolutely everything? And all that just makes us as an angry person, right?
Yeah.
And I guess as you were talking, who are we being? Right? In that moment, who are we choosing to be? Because it's a choice. Nobody can make us feel anything. Only we can choose something. I walked out before I went to retreat and I was going to go pack my car. And I walked out and my window was smashed. And I was like, look at that. And just quick side note. So my mother had a heart attack last Monday. Right. And that one shook me because it was like the end of Monday evening.
Yeah.
Didn't really sleep that well. Woke up in the morning. Didn't feel that great. Went to the gym. Everything felt heavy. That night on the Tuesday, went and saw my mother. And that made me feel really good. And she was out of hospital the next day. Comes Thursday morning. Then I'm like, that's what the week had been. And I've walked out and that's what had happened. And I think a few other things had happened. But when I saw that, I was like, and I touched it just to see how broken it was, and the window fell off. And I just thought to myself, there's a baby seat right behind that window. If someone was trying to break in, you would have seen there was a baby seat. And maybe they saw it and thought, I might not break into it, but it was too late. They've already broken my window. I thought, but maybe someone wasn't trying to break in. Maybe it was a flying rock because there was no other broken windows around. And I just looked up to the sky and I thought, did something fall out of the sky? I'm like, okay, you got to clean this up. So I went in, told my wife, and I just felt really deflated. I'm like, where's the vacuum? So I pick up the vacuum and here I am on my driveway, pebble rock, driveway, and I'm vacuuming glass up off the road. And I'm thinking to myself, you're in it, aren't you? Here you are, it's 7 a.m. in the morning, and you're vacuuming up glass. And I'm like, this happened to your mum the other day. This happened yesterday. And here you are. This is where you're at. And I'm like, well, obviously, clearly, this is where my life is right now. Right now, my job is to clean glass. Right? Tonight, when I'm at retreat, will be to serve people. Wherever you are, that's what's going on for you in your life right there and right then. Regardless of what's happened, you have a choice. Does that make sense? Absolutely. I could have got really angry. Absolutely. I could have got angry that this happened on this day, that happened on that day. Now this has happened. Geez, fuck my life. Right? I know that's not going to help me, especially if I'm just about to go to a retreat and serve people. So in that moment, I'm just vacuuming up on my driveway, glass, breathing. Okay. Yeah. It's me in the glass. This is where we're at. I'm glad that that's what it was because it gave me time to regulate my nervous system and allowed me to find a solution. So I'm thinking, how am I going to get there? My car's going to be outside. There's an open window. What happened if it rains? All of these sorts of things. And then I remembered, that's right, my daughter's got a car and we're going together. Everything's going to be fine.
I'm thinking of a friend who has a child who she's always saying the child's triggering me, the child is constantly stressing me out, and in turn that is why she's hasn't been training, she's completely left her diet, she's feeling like the worst version of herself, and she's it's always my child is triggering me. And I'm just thinking about everything that you've just said, and this is perfect opportunities for her to slow down, take some moments, and ideally not let it trigger her so it affects every other part of her life.
How old's the child?
3. Triggering age.
Okay, so I'm a father of almost 20 years. My daughter's 19. My son's 5. He's level 3 non-verbal on the spectrum. And then my youngest is 6 months. I delivered him 5 minutes before making it to the hospital earlier this year. Wow. We didn't make it to the hospital, had to make the decision to pull over, jumped in the back, told my wife to push, and we delivered it in the back of the car.
Wild.
It was super, super wild. And it's all the things we're talking about. And I thought about this the next day when I went to go get us some breakfast. Everything I do had prepared me for that life or death moment. Right? And basically what had happened was we were on the way there. My wife said, he's coming. And I'm just like, are you sure? His head was pushing up against the diaper. Like she was wearing the adult diaper. I helped her pull it down. I'm driving. I look down. His head's, breached. I look back up. I look down later on. His head is now out. I'm at the set of lights. Okay, cool. I've got my hazard lights on. I've come down the side, waiting for the lights to go green, go through 2 sets of lights. I look back down. I think we can make it. I look up. I look down. He's not breathing. I'm thinking, I don't know if I want to risk this. So I find a spot, I pull over, wave somebody down, jump at the back, open up the door, tell my wife to push, pops into my arms. It's 1 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon. I think, look, I'll drive us to the hospital because it could be 20 minutes till they get to us. He might not survive. The next day when I went to go get us some breakfast, what I thought to myself, why didn't I freak out? I think I've been born for these moments. And our children come into our lives for certain reasons. So to any new parent out there, everyone sucks at the beginning. No one knows what they're doing, and everyone's situation is unique to their own. As parents, our nervous systems are always stretched. I said to my wife when we had our youngest, because our other son's on the spectrum, we haven't really slept for 5 years. You know, my other daughter, we call her the unicorn. Well, not my other daughter, I only have one daughter. But my firstborn, we call her the unicorn because she's never really been sick. She's never had any injuries. Nothing's ever gone wrong, and she's always been amazing, right? But my youngest, my middle child, it's been stress central since pretty much the beginning, right? So he was born with severe clubfoot. His feet were turned up, didn't talk for 2 years. And then now he does talk. He doesn't talk. He repeats things that he watches, but he makes heaps of noise, right? Doesn't sleep very well either. But our children come into our lives to teach us something. My daughter came into my life to soften me from my wild ways, right? I wouldn't have changed my life without her. My other son had come into my life to humble me because he's got special needs. My youngest came into my life to teach me who I actually am, right? That I'm a better man than I probably even thought, and I'm capable of more than what I ever thought. And I think for any man that's listening to this as well, look, nothing tests your manhood and masculinity more than delivering your own child. Yep.
Yeah.
Emergency delivery as well. But there is something that her child is coming into her life to teach her. And this is why people get really frustrated with spirituality and woo stuff. It's kind of like, life is happening for you, not to you. But legit, that is what it is. You know, and that's coming from a father of 3. I become a father at 22 years of age. You know? So whatever her son has come into her life to teach her, she's still yet, by the sounds of it, to see it. And that doesn't take away from the stress that childhood, that parenthood brings in. That's real. That's completely real. But in those moments, when our nervous systems are extremely stretched and we're being triggered, there is something in that moment that is trying to reveal something to us. That's what our triggers do. They're trying to shine a light on our shadows, on the parts of us that we hide behind the mask that we don't want anybody to see. All our behavioral patterns, all of our traumas, all of our triggers, all of those things, we keep that on the other side because we want to show the rest of the world the beautiful parts of how amazing we already are, because we're unlovable if we show the things that are behind the mask. But the truth is, you're not. But if that's a story that we keep on telling ourselves, that becomes the prophecy that we start to believe, the reality that we experience, right? The people that love you will always hold you close. So in parenthood, I always recommend have people that are close to you that love not just you, but your children as well. Doesn't mean the ones that don't want to hang around you and your kids, that they're not your friends. But when you're a parent, you're in a different world. Right? And parenting isn't easy. So you want people that are around you that are going to champion you, that are going to connect with you, that also care about, you know, your kids. They don't have to want to babysit your kids, but they need to care about you enough to ask questions. How are your kids? But genuinely ask, how are your kids? Not as a default question of how are your kids? You answer the question and now I talk about myself.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope whoever your client is, I hope that helps.
I think so. And I think just honestly having the thought process around, okay, like what is this teaching me, being more present in it, and just noticing that there's a trigger there and that there's something probably deep kind of brewing. Just even that first little bit of noticing is going to be the step in the right direction. Because until we actually become conscious of those things, the triggers, the like sort of unresolved stories in our body, we're never gonna move past them.
Yeah, and I guess if we're not going to learn now, we're going to learn somewhere down the track. There's something here for us to teach, and maybe you're stretched. Maybe right now you couldn't give, right, 2 cents for whatever it is that maybe you don't want to learn right now. right? But the opportunity will show up a little bit later. And, in parenting, we must grow with our children. And essentially, that only makes us greater humans as well.
Thank you so much for coming on. I feel like we've really covered lots of different avenues today. And I think the athletes listening to this are going to get so much value from thinking about their breath, slowing down, regulating their nervous system, not only for their physique improvements, but for their mental side. And I mean, they're both coexist, right? All the other the people that are not athletes, I think they're going to take some really good things from this as well. So I'm so grateful that you've come on today.
Thanks for having us.
If there's one thing that could really encapsulate your message that you could share to, especially the young athletes listening to this podcast, the young mums, what would you share?
If you can breathe through it, you can get through it. And when you go through those difficult moments, allow your breath to support you, to navigate your way through it. Further down the track, if you can breathe through it and have the ability to stay in it, learning to perform under pressure, I think that you're going to be able to gain more value out of your life. Because I think if we can stay in the fire, we can stay in the fight. And I think you're going to gain a lot more value out of that place. And you're going to experience life in ways that you just didn't understand or experience before.
Absolutely. Just having that intention, the presence, and living a life where you are truly present is magnificent, and your life will feel so much longer. Like you'll look back at your week and be like, oh, I had a week, rather than looking back and being like, what just happened that week?
100%.
So thank you so much. Where can people find you if they want to work with you, if they want to hear more from you? Instagram?
Instagram is the best place. My personal is at Coach Hola, or our work one, our community is Men's Medicine.
Beautiful. When is your next sort of like free community event on the Gold Coast? I have a lot of Gold Coast listeners that would love to come.
We have Breathwork once a month. Pretty sure there's one in October. We got rained out in September the other week. But once a month we do Breathwork. It'll be the next one, either a Saturday or a Sunday.
Beautiful. Well, me and Callum are going to come. We already made that in our calendar.
Amazing.
So if anyone's listening who also wants to come, please join us. It'll be really cool to have anybody who's interested in this coming along and meeting you.
Simply, It's $5.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Bargain.
Yeah.
And you'll feel so good for the rest of the day.
Yes. A great way to start the day. Breathwork on the beach at sunrise, and then go enjoy the rest of your day.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I really, really appreciate it. If you like this episode, guys, please share it around. Send it to somebody who you think needs to regulate their nervous system. Go and follow Lino on his personal account and join us for the breath work. And I'll talk to you all in the next episode. Bye.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.